Joining us now to talk more about the conclave is Bishop Robert Brennan of the Brooklyn Diocese. Thanks for being with us today. We do appreciate it.
And thank you for all the interest and the coverage of everything.
Well, I mean, this really is a monumental occasion for Catholics and non-Catholics alike. So the funeral happened this weekend, a beautiful ceremony, and now begins this really secretive process of electing the next pope. First and foremost, we were talking about what happens between now and May 7th. That's a good amount of time. What are they going to be doing?
A lot of what they'll be doing is listening to one another. They'll be talking about the needs of the church. They'll be discerning where do we need to be looking for in the years ahead, not just to move on from 2025, but what are we going to be facing ahead of us? And as they talk to one another, they also listen and they learn about each other. This is going to be a different kind of a conclave because there are so many cardinals from all over the world who come from unusual places. It's not the traditional places. So they don't know each other the same way. So this will be a getting to know you kind of period. You know,
you mentioned what they're going to be talking about. And for me, especially as somebody who is Catholic, that's so interesting because I'm curious about where the church is headed. And I wonder, are they looking toward the mission of bringing in new members to the church, or are they just trying to sort of satisfy the faithful that they have, which I think is two very different missions for a lot of these men?
That's actually a good question, and I don't know if I'd use the word satisfy, but I think you're right. There are two different strategies. You know, obviously we want to invite more people in. That's a big thing. But we also want to care for the people who are already very much a part of the flock. And really, in a sense, we want to empower the people who are part of the flock to go out and invite other people in. So there are different kinds of strategies, and I'm sure that they have those different viewpoints and strategies among themselves.
But Pope Francis was very clear about who should be allowed to be blessed, who should be welcomed into the church. Many would say he was quite liberal or progressive in that regard, although he didn't change doctrine. That's right. You know, he said, for example, that somebody who's LGBTQ could be blessed. The person, not the union, but the person could be blessed. But yet, when you look at the gains that the church has made, specifically in Asian countries, I would imagine that stands in stark contrast to some of the things that we think here in the Western world.
That's, again, a very good point, that we tend to look at things from a Western culture, from the United States culture, more specifically. And we're dealing with a global church. And where the church is at its strongest, where the church is growing, is in Asia and in Africa and in other parts of the world that we kind of overlook a little bit. But again, I think there's a continuity. You know, so Pope Francis had us pay more attention to people, maybe you might say on the edges, on the fringes. You hear that term a lot. And that's a good awakening. We need to do that. But that's always been in there. It's a matter of what you stress and how you stress it. And he made some great gestures for that.
I'm so into the secrecy of it. I'm really excited to see who is going to come forward and how long this is going to last. Before we let you go, if you're a betting man, you think this is a 2-day ordeal, a week ordeal? You think they're getting into 2 weeks?
I don't think it'll go that long. I don't think it'll go a week. My guess, and this is the only guess I'm going to make, I'm not going to tell you who. I have no clue on that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they finish by the end of that first week. So May 7th, maybe by Friday or Saturday.
We know the Holy Spirit has his own timeline, or her own timeline.
That's right.
Bishop Brennan, thank you very much.
We're so glad. Thank you.
Appreciate it.